I just want to say thanks very much, Kiet and Charlotte, for coming to do this. And I wanted to get more of a product management perspective into this day. So they were naturally people that I wanted to talk to. Particularly, I knew Charlotte from before. I didn't know Kiet yet. And they interviewed me on their podcast, probably to about two listens. But
please find out. It's in the YouTube, Spotify.
If you want to know a little bit about why I do this, it's up there. And but this is the most interesting stuff, I think, apart from my story on the podcast. So
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Cool.
Nice opening theme that we usually use for our podcast.
This is the actual sing song for our product power. So we're thinking since we're doing live, we will play the theme song, get people into the mood as well. So welcome to the Product House, live at Signal No Noise. This is actually the first ever live podcast me and Kia has ever done as well.
Thank you for supporting us.
Yeah, so please give us a little bit more patience and support. So my name is Charlotte, so I'm the co-founders and host for the Product House podcast. So we actually run these regular outside of the conference as well. We're trying to commit to monthly, but sometimes you can see it's a bit more regular, it's less regular. But what we're really trying to do is we really wanted to build a little bit a community for the product thinkers, builders, and people passionate about the product management come together and just learn something together and explore and share about our stories.
Nice. So we started Product Powers really with two ideas. The first one was, as product managers, it's quite a rewarding career, but at the same time, it's probably, for a lot of product managers, it's quite lonely as well. And the second idea really was, the job description, when you look at it, often it looks very similar, but when you actually hit the ground running, depending on the organization, depending on the team, depending on the actual product, it actually demands very different things for the builders themselves, right? So there isn't just one way to do product.
Yeah, well, basically we all get a pitch from Marty Kagan that inspire about what product managers should be, and then probably what we actually do is very different. So the whole idea around this podcast is we're speaking to someone like Harry's, and we have Peru here, Adams, and a few, probably about 20 other product people in the industry, just to understand a little bit their story, just behind the linking post.
Yeah, so we're obviously really excited to nerd out, and Harry needs no further introduction. He's, of course, CTO of hipages.
CPTO.
CPO, sorry, thank you. We are Product Pals, not Tech Pals.
Yeah.
So obviously we're here to nerd out with Harry about what product leadership looks like in the AI age.
All right, maybe we should now turn the focus to Harry. Do you want to share something with us about yourself that probably the audience don't know about you?
I arrived in Australia probably back in '94, studying, as an international student, starting at year 10, and go to Melbourne Uni, study Bachelor of Engineering and Finance, so I did double degree. Originally, I wanted to be an investment banker, but that failed very miserably. I remember I had an interview with JP Morgan, and then they asked me, if you don't get the job as investment banker and we have a position in IT, would you take it? Yeah, I would take it, but that was a trap. That basically shows that I'm not passionate about investment banking, so I failed that. Then I end up having a software engineering roles, and yeah, I love it, and that's where I have always been, and only in the last 7 and 8 years that I'm moving towards product.
Interesting. All right. Well, just curious about, so in your family barbecue, has anyone asked you to explain what you do and what product managers is?
No one has. So if they ask me, I build digital product. That's all. But to me, what is product management, right? Ultimately, product management is we want to solve user problems. We want to solve problems that you have using digital, using technology, and that's what we want to do.
Nice. So You mentioned kind of the startup in engineering, and you've had quite a successful career in organisations like REA, Campaign Monitor, Rightpaw, and then
Well, technically not Rightpaw because the founder of Rightpaw is over there. I'm just helping, advising.
advising. But 3 years ago, you obviously made the pivot from technology into product, right? That's quite a big jump. Would you share with us and share with the audience kind of that journey?
Yeah, okay. It's actually started about 8 years ago. So I was at Campaign Monitor, and so the story there is I joined to help improve engineering, especially on the delivery side of things because they were not delivering. So they were like, we've came from releasing from once a week, taking hours and hours of QA into releasing multiple times a day. But I felt like driving a Ferrari in the middle of a city and it just traffic lights all the time. Right? That's what I felt because my peer, the CPO, wouldn't let any incremental releases happening. So he wants everything to be a big bang polished so he can then do a good marketing, brand marketing on that. And I was so frustrated because, you build a really good engine and you can't do anything about it. So then this role in hipages came up, which is Chief Product and Technology Officer. And I'll be honest, my motivation is, I'll show you how to do product. And that's basically the reason why I took that role. So starting with both remits, product and technology. And about 3 years ago, I had my VP of engineering stepped up and he took on the CTO role and I'll keep the P.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Well, I'm really curious. There's so many people probably here inspired to become a CPO. So what does actually CPO do? How does that different from product manager role?
The CPO, well, obviously we don't do the day-to-day in terms of, working with the teams closely and what have you. But a lot of what we do is thinking bigger about the organization, the strategy, the direction, managing key stakeholders, and what have you. I think when I think about leadership in an organization, I think about system. I think about leaders as system owner. So when you're managing an engineering team or you're managing a product team, you're building the system for them to operate in. And the higher you go, the system that you own is bigger and bigger. So I look at myself as a system owner that creating an environment and a system how everything works together in order for the people or the teams within it to operate as best as they can be.
Very nice. So in the talk earlier, you kind of mentioned with the advent of AI, the dynamics of how product and engineering kind of work together has changed quite a fair bit, right? And you mentioned things like, hackathon a week or stuff like that. In practice, how do they actually collaborate today?
We're in the process of transforming, so I can't really tell you the result, but I got a lot of buy-in at the moment, so we're going to try that out. What I think going to happen, though, is this, right? Like, I think, today we talk about different roles like product manager, UX, designer, researcher, QA, BA, whatever, engineering, But I think in the future, probably there's going to be 3 types of roles. This is based on my conversation with a lot of people and what I read. So number 1 is the people that are going to think about strategy and direction. So these are the people that are going to understand the customer problems, talk to them, building sense of judgment. What are the opportunities, the problems? And they're also the one that's going to enable the rest of the organization. The second group of people are the people that's creating the system, the tools for people to use. So these are the maybe you call it the platform people. If you go to Toyota factory, for example, these are the people that maintain the robots that's operating in the pipeline. So, the tools could be the agentic harness that are going to be built and whatever. So these are the people that's going to keep iterating on it and improving it. And the last group of people, I think, is going to be the builders. And this is where a lot of the roles going to merge into, becoming builders. And these are the people that's going to use the tool and work on the problems that are being set by the people that's setting the strategy to deliver value. And at the moment, you're probably going to move from teams to pods. And I probably can see in the future it's going to be individuals working with multiple agents.
Out of curiosity, that operations systems layer that you described, that sounds a lot like product ops, right? Is the expectation that your product leaders take that role, or is it a separate?
It's more than product ops. It's going to be an end-to-end system. So I think it's going to blur across the whole organization. Like for now, we gotta stop thinking about handoffs, because handoffs is the biggest waste in an organization, and we need to think about how everything can be from idea to the hand of the customer as fast as possible. And that's where I think the agentic harness is going to be really key and crucial. So I'm talking beyond just pushing into production. I'm talking also about the agents then update the release notes, update the knowledge base, update so the customer agents can have the knowledge about what's being released and talk to customers. So end to end, basically.
Okay, so I'm really curious about, because before in your previous keynote, you were talking about the previous way, how people organize, scale the product and scale the organization through hierarchy. And sometimes, a lot of time, it's through some of these handoff in a way. So what do you think is a new kind of way when we're doing this massive scale from, for example, for some of the product, you build it from 0 to 1, and one day you from 1 to 1,000 users, and then it becomes a global user. What does these kind of scale process look like, and what does a team look like?
Yeah, look, I think as a product grow, so it depends, right? It depends on the capability of people. I know someone that I used to work with. He's currently having 2 startups. He's running 2 startups simultaneously with 0 agents. With 0 engineers.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm just like, how the hell do you do that? So he's an engineer himself. So he ran a bunch of agents basically running for him. And he got clients. And I think, as your backlog of problems or opportunities grow, you will need more engineers to come and help you. But each engineer is going to be running agents as well, working with them. And eventually you grow bigger and bigger, and then you need someone to maintain the system as well. And that's, I think, how it's going to scale. I don't think, the era of having hundreds and hundreds of people per product, I think that's not going to happen anymore. It's going to be small, but you might end up with multi-products. So you scale by having more and more products, and each product then, have a group of people working on it together.
And what will be the collaboration kind of look like among all the people? Because you're still talking about a group of people with the product.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it will be a bit more seamless instead of through the current ceremony way, the handover way. It's a bit more kind of a seamless.
Yeah, so that's what I was mentioning in the keynote this morning, which is like the triad now is on the product level. So we have the product manager, the tech lead, and the UX designer, researcher, whatever you. And they will think ahead of everyone, what's the problems, what are the opportunities to work on. And then every week, we're going to do hey, let's kick off. These are the problems to solve. Go work with your agents and solve it. And then by the end of the week, where are we at? What have we released? What experiments we have? What's the result look like? And then which one do we want to productionize further? Which one do we want to stop? Which one we want to iterate on, and that sort of stuff. I think that's how I see things going to happen more and more.
And I'm interested to hear about on the ground, right? A lot of these things sound like they're great experiments, and those experiments work, and then we want to scale it. Do you see that as your responsibility? Do you see that as the product team's responsibility? Or do you see that as kind of, is there a middle layer that kind of orchestrates?
I think, look, it depends on the maturity of the team. Ideally, I would like the team that's the one that, this is working. I think it's pretty obvious if things are scaling, and they will be one okay, we need to take this and do it properly and scale it further.
Yeah.
it will be awesome if that's coming bottom up rather than people top down.
Yes, yeah.
This conversation is so good. Me and Kia just went completely off our script. So, so we wanted to make sure because we actually do leave about 10 minutes for open up the question for people to answer. So we basically keep the same tradition. So there's two ways. If you guys have any question, put your hands up and we will put the mic to you, or just come up.
Otherwise,
And-
I'll run out.
Great.
If you want to just introduce yourself as well, it's a relatively small room.
Hello, my name is Asma Qureshi, and I run a research practice called A2 Online. So my question is that I really like how you talked about that we're not going to be living in a world where there are like hundreds of engineers developing a product. But what is the biggest modern day product design or product engineering problem when we have so many agentic AI tools available for us to build products?
Sorry, I'm trying to understand. What's the biggest
Challenge.
I think, look, there's no shortage of ideas, right? Like, ideas are cheap. And you go and have a shower, you come up with 10 ideas, right? And that's how cheap ideas are these days, And I think, and for a long time, I think the practice of discovery designers, product managers is make sure that we pick the best idea out of all those ideas. I think now it's with agentic AI and build becoming approaching zero, you still need judgment to know which ideas to prioritize. There's still limited capacity. Tokens, for example, you're not going to spend millions and millions of money, right, to test all your ideas, and you're not going to run thousands of experiments simultaneously in your product. Your product going to look like Frankenstein. So you still need to have that judgment to know what to do, but you also have now more freedom to do more things and testing more things than ever before. As I said in my keynote, just try it rather than analysis paralysis, like looking at every single data that you have. Should we do this? Just try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, just roll back. Why you need to spend days and days just figuring it out, like just do it. And if it doesn't work, just roll back.
Then what's your view about the AI slop then? Because now everyone basically just building things, and literally I have so many friends as well, just have so many startups on the side, everything has a beautiful website, but when you're actually clicking in, like the product is pretty mediocre. So.
Yeah, so the AI slop is real, right? Like AI is a multiplier. It multiplies brilliance, but it also multiplies idiocy. So I've seen many times, like people submitting like thousands and thousands lines of code, which is just slop. And that is shit, including people submitting PRDs that's just really, really wrong. So that's where I think, what separates good from great. So to me, it's like, you gotta treat the agents like, starting from junior and go up. You can't just let things loose from day one. You gotta work it out. You gotta build the context, build the quality, and then keep going and training the agents as they get better and better.
Harry, I wanted to pick up on the thread around judgment, right? And if today you had to interview and hire a new product manager, like what's your bar, and how do you actually assess if someone has good judgment?
Yeah, I think it's funny, because I've been interviewing product managers recently.
Everyone take notes of this.
I think the judgment is the ability to look for signals and the right signals to use. Hence, the signals, not noise.
Exactly,
conference.
on brand.
So the ability to look for the right data and the right signals to pick. And at the end of the day, their willingness to make a call. And if the call might be wrong, and that's fine, but what signals are they seeing to see that the call is wrong? So it's all about seeing the right signals and judging from that. and people that don't have their ego and willing to admit mistakes and learn. And I think that's the qualities that I'm looking at in a product manager.
Nice, thank you for sharing that.
We'll open up for more questions. Otherwise, we can continue with, Peru. Okay, thank you. Good exercise for Kiet.
I definitely need it.
Thank you. I'm Paru and I work at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. There's a lot of debate happening at the moment around setting product strategy. How do you see that changing in this era of like chaos and, every day we're seeing new things in terms of developments in AI and things like that. So how do you go about setting that direction and strategy for your teams?
Yeah, the strategy itself, I don't think it changed much because the strategy is really closely tied to the business strategy. Product strategy exists to serve business strategy, really, at the end of the day. And I'm hoping good business understand the value of products, vice versa. So I don't think the strategy changed so much because it's tied a lot into the business strategy. Maybe what changed there is what's possible. Because before, there's a lot of constraint and whatever, AI enables a lot of that to become more feasible. So maybe the strategy itself doesn't change, but the time frame of the strategy compressed. Because things that you can only do in 2-3 years, you probably can do it now within a year.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Peru.
I might just squeeze one in while we hand over the mic. I'm just curious about what's the AI tool, like a tool set you and or your organization in the product team are actually using.
We evolve multiple times. Initially,
Claude.
well, before we get to Claude, the designer started, with Figma Make, for example, and it was like mind blowing, right? Like, initially, you interview customer, and then you go off, build a prototype in Figma, and then you schedule another call, and then you walk through the prototype, get feedback, you get off, you trade on the prototype, just call again. It takes weeks, forever. And then suddenly Figma Make came up, and then they do everything in an hour. The feedback, let me just prompt it, change the layout. Can you try again? And then observe the feedback and then do it again. Everything from weeks becoming hours. And just like, this is freaking amazing. This is really good. But now things are changing even more, right? Like, we're using Claude. Originally we used Cursor, and now we moved to Claude. Claude is mainly the main thing that we use nowadays.
Thank you.
Hi, Harry. I'm Bahor. I'm one of the agility/product coach in CBA right now. I have a question as a coach. How do you see the role of coaching to help the product managers to learn about the new techniques, how things should work? Do you see them an effective partner in this whole ecosystem? Or you think that, for example, the product manager are the one who should basically coach the rest of the organization?
It really depends. I think the answer is really depends on the maturity of the organization. I think if you're working in a big company like CBA's, for example, it's really hard for a product manager to make a change, company-wide. You might need more systematic way of doing it. That's, I think, where the coaches help with that. But in a smaller organization, I think you gotta have a skin in the game to make the change. And I think that's where the product managers should be, not just product managers it could be anyone. I spoke to a couple of companies in Silicon Valley, and the trend that I see is to do a proper AI transformation in the organization, you gotta have someone with that role formally in the organization. It could be a VP of AI or someone. And that person is the one that, go looking for patterns that exist in the organization, because people are adopting AI in pockets. And then try to understand the patterns that are emerging within the organization and looking at the patterns outside of the organization and help create an organization-wide transformation change. And I think, we've gone through agile transformation 10 years ago. It's similar, right? You got to start with small number of teams, see how it works, iterate from it, and start rolling out to the rest of the organization.
Thank you. We'll probably have time for one more question.
Hi, my name is Olga. I work for a company called Essient. My question is a bit of context. So 20 years ago, in many organizations, we saw distinct functions. We had business and we had IT. Then we tried to bring them together using Agile and Scrum, and we embedded product owners into technology teams. Some organizations have never moved past the two distinct functions. Now, with AI in the mix, the software development skills, they're no longer just for IT, right? Business people are coding right, left, and center. In your opinion, Henry, what do you think is going to happen in the future, and what do business functions need to be aware or maybe cautious with if they sort of kind of say, you know what, I can dream it and I can build it, and maybe IT function gets put to the side? What are your thoughts on that?
You can do that if you want to. I would caution against that. So the thing is this, right? As I mentioned before, 20 years ago, it was business telling engineering what to do, what to build. And that's, as you said, still happening in a lot of organizations today. But what is the motivation? A lot of the motivation is actually to make money, and not so much in solving customer problems. If business people can get to a stage that thinking about solving customer problems at the same time creating commercial value and balance the two, yeah, why not? Why not? Ultimately, it comes to the why. In my opinion, same thing with engineers, right? Like, if the engineers can have a good judgment of product and what problems to solve for the customer, they don't need product managers. They can do it themselves.
It's very Airbnb have basically gotten rid of product managers and.
Yeah, that's a bit different though. That's because the product marketing and product managers just keep bickering with each other. So they decided, like,
Internal politics.
We'll go with designers.
Well, I do have one final closing questions for today, and then I think would love to hear Harry's view around. So, well, you were talking about there's too much noise out there. I certainly feel very overwhelmed. So, what is your personal secret for you to find all the signal through all the noise for yourself to keep up to date about all the industry trends, keep yourself like of all this AI knowledge and tooling as well?
Not going crazy at the same time.
Yeah, and not going crazy at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. It's insane. I picked the ones that are credible. So Lenny's podcast, for example, number one. I would listen to Lenny's podcast more than anything else.
Product House podcast as well.
Oh yeah, Product House podcast, obviously. But I also talk to people. I just want to see what actually sticks. I'm more like a practical guy than, and I listen to theory, I read it, but I want to actually see what's happening on the ground, because to me, that's the most important thing. So yeah, look, I read, but then I verify with what's actually happening on the ground.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
Harry, thank you so much for
thank you.
making the time to nerd with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. This is the first Product House
If
Live.
you enjoyed the content, please scan there, subscribe, and nerd out with us.
Yeah.
And we'd always love more
Speakers
as well.
Yeah,
So
we have a few here. We have Kurt, we have Peru. We have a big party here.
hope you guys enjoyed it. I think we're breaking for morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you so much, Harry.
Thank you.